What's going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football. I think we're going to just dive right into this one. I think there's an intriguing storyline heading into the offseason here prior to the 2025 NFL Draft, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they have a lot that they have to consider, and I think before we look ahead, I think we have to kind of see where we're coming from. And last year in the 2024 NFL Draft, I think the Raiders kind of got caught with their pants down, so to speak. They were, I think, going to end up drafting Michael Penix. And I think they were in 100% full belief that he was going to be there for them at the 13th overall pick. And as you can see here, I have the 2024 draft pulled up. Obviously, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, the 1, 2, and 3 quarterbacks that went. But I don't think we have never ever seen 12 in the first 12 picks, 6 quarterbacks go. So historically speaking, that was an anomaly. And Michael Penix was the very first shocking pick, I think, in the draft. Everyone thought it was a shocking pick. They went out and had signed Kirk Cousins in the offseason last year, and Michael Penix ends up being the guy at number 8. Just kind of slowly saw how that kind of panned out this last season. He got some playing time towards the end of the year, but yeah, shocking pick nonetheless. And then J.J. McCarthy goes at 10, and Bo Nix goes at 12, and you got 6 quarterbacks that go in the top 12 and just pushed more talent down, like Brock Bowers, who ended up being the pick for the Las Vegas Raiders at 13. But I think they have to look at quarterback, right? So initially my thought process was, and if we look now towards the 2025 season, you have your big board, and I have a website that I've never even seen before, Tankathon. I've never seen this before. This is new to me as well, but I just was going based off of really just this screen here. Just wanted to pull up a list of the teams to have a visual while I speak. So Vegas is at 6, and there's going to be a lot of factors that go into their decision on who they're going to end up drafting. First and foremost, I think the top 3 guys on their list at 6 have to be the 2 quarterbacks, being Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. And I think the wild card, in my opinion, would be Ashton Jeanty. And I'll get into that in a second. But you cannot win in this league without a quarterback, and I think the Raiders are probably the most desperate team for one besides them and the Giants. So in a scenario where they sit at 6, and let's say there is no trade and they don't trade up, you would have to assume that Shedeur and Cam Ward, there's a good chance that they might be gone by the time the Vegas Raiders are drafting at 6. You have Tennessee that could potentially take a quarterback. They could stick with Will Levis there. Number 2, Cleveland. I think they could also take a look at a quarterback as well. The Giants, everyone knows they need a quarterback. 4 and 5, I think those are going to be no's, obviously. And then you have 6, the Raiders. So, and that's the other thing is that's assuming no one leapfrogs them at 6. Let's say like a team like the Jets at 7. I'd say probably just the Jets at 7 could be a team that could potentially try to leapfrog the Raiders and make a move at quarterback because they're also desperate. So the scenario and the picture is this: Sam Darnold is really the only quarterback in free agency, in my opinion, that's going to end up getting really a big payday. He had a huge 2024 season. And if I was Sam Darnold personally, I would be trying my best to stay in Minnesota. He's seen his most success in his career in Minnesota. He had a huge year. And if I'm him, I'm trying to work a deal out with them and say, hey, I'm trying to talk them into having me be the guy versus J.J. McCarthy being the guy. But if he goes onto the market, he's really the only guy. He's really the only guy there. I think in free agency when it comes to the quarterback position. And that's on top of a weak quarterback class in 2025. So it's really Sam Darnold, Shedeur Sanders, and Cam Ward. And I think in a healthy quarterback draft, you're seeing Shedeur and Cam Ward probably not being taken in the top 5 or 10. Especially, and the thing is, I haven't broken the tape down and watched the tape down myself yet, so I could be disagreeing with myself in a couple of weeks or whenever I sit down and actually watch. But from the information that I've gathered, it sounds as if Shedeur would be that late first, early second type of guy. Maybe Cam Ward would be, and there are some rumblings now about Jackson Dart as well, but let's focus on Ward and Sanders and Ashton Jeanty. So now it's 6. Let's assume Sam Darnold doesn't sign with the Raiders. Let's assume he signs somewhere else. Let's say Cleveland and the Giants take a quarterback. Let's say the Raiders aren't able to trade up. Who do you take at 6? They have a massive hole and a massive need at running back, in my opinion. You shored up the tight end position last offseason in the draft with Brock Bowers, best tight end in the league in his first season. You can add a dynamic offensive weapon in Ashton Jeanty and maybe kick the can down the road one more season, find a stopgap type quarterback for a year in free agency potentially, or maybe draft a developmental guy. Maybe a Jalen Milroe will be there later in the draft. I think that's one scenario, assuming that those 3 quarterbacks are gone, not available to them. I think Ashton Jeanty would be a huge pickup for them at number 6. A lot of people have him going outside of the top 10, between 10 and 20 to a couple of various teams. But I think I would stick Jeanty there, honestly. They have a huge need at running back, and he's one of the best offensive players in this draft class. So I think that's a possibility. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I think the quarterback position is the most important position in all of sports, I think. So I think they have to take a shot at it. It's a matter of how desperate do they think they are, and are they okay with trading up? I think the only way they really secure a guy is if they trade up. Tennessee, I think, is a possible trade partner. If they think that they can trade back, accumulate more picks, because honestly, you're drafting first overall. You have multiple holes on the roster, and quarterback might not necessarily be one of them. If they want to keep rolling the dice with Will Levis for at least another season, I think they have a little bit of a luxury in a sense where they could just trade back, accumulate more picks, and be okay. I think Cleveland and the Giants have to seriously consider a quarterback. Deshaun Watson has not worked out in Cleveland. I think that's been a mess and a nightmare. So I think Cleveland and the Giants are serious contenders for drafting a quarterback, being Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And that's going to leave the Vegas Raiders out in the dust. So if you're going to go from 6 to 1 and really want to acquire that pick, what do you give up, right? Well, we'll take a look at what picks they have here. They have 6, 37, 68, 73 that they got from the Jets. I think that might have been as a result of the Davante Adams trade. If I click on it, let me see. No, it just doesn't tell you. Okay. That might have been the Davante Adams trade. They got their 3rd. But, I mean, you could potentially package 6, maybe 73, a future pick, go up to number 1 and pick your guy. Take your quarterback between Ward and Shedeur. But I think overall, the most intriguing team in the top 10 to me is the Raiders. I think they have a huge dilemma on their hands. They saw what happened last year. They weren't able to get their guy in Penix. And now they're like, are we going to be that team again who's going to just sit back, not make a move, and hang tight and think that we might be able to get a guy, and it ends up just not happening? So, especially, the Giants guaranteed take a quarterback if one is there for them. So you're really down to one other team, right? And like I said, I think Cleveland is a possibility. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm in a scenario where, if you can make a package deal, and the price is right, I think the Raiders should try and make a move for a quarterback. Only if they believe that one of these two guys are going to be a franchise guy. If they're not confident in that, if they're saying these guys are second round talent players, especially like a guy like, let's say, Shedeur Sanders, in a normal season, in a normal draft, we're going to take this guy and he'd be like a second round guy. It comes down to your board, your confidence in those players, your scouts, and your desperation, really. So again, if you're not desperate and you think you can roll the dice on another guy in free agency or whoever, maybe Aiden O'Connell, I don't know, and you take Ashton Jeanty there at 6 and kick the can down the road one more season, Now you got Bowers, you got Jeanty, you got a couple of decent young guys at receiver. All you really need to do is find the quarterback. So I think it's a very, very interesting scenario for the Vegas Raiders. Let me know what you guys think. Throw your comments down below. All different kinds of scenarios that I can see, playing out for them. I love kind of looking at this and analyzing a little bit more. But I have been watching tape, very little bit, but I will be getting into it very soon. And primarily, unfortunately to say, primarily some of the more offensive guys and the skill player guys, just because of my dynasty league. I really need to be on top of who I like and who I don't. But I'll sprinkle in maybe some defensive guys. But anyway, I'm going to post this video on the Raiders. See what you guys think. Throw your comments down below. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm out.